Everything was peaceful in the 100-acre wood, where the adorable Winnie the Pooh and his friends lived their adventures. However, an air of unease began to hang over the place when a sinister change took hold of Pooh's behavior. His once joyful and smiling face now displayed a disturbing and malevolent expression. His eyes gleamed with a dark and mysterious light, while his sweet voice transformed into a threatening whisper that seemed to echo in the shadows of the forest. As Pooh stealthily moved through the woods, a dark aura of death and despair enveloped the 100-acre wood. The other characters, Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore, disappeared one by one, their voices suffocated in silent anguish. The forest turned into a silent nightmare, where Pooh's disturbing whispers penetrated the ears. Tree trunks twisted like broken bones, and the wind howled an ominous lament, as if the forest mourned the loss of its innocence. The empty and unsettling echo filled the place, while Pooh's eyes gleamed with infernal light. While evil spread through the 100-acre wood, Christopher Robin, once Pooh's best friend, was immersed in his studies at a distant university, separated from that enchanted world for a long time. However, a sense of nostalgia and unease began to dominate his heart, sparking a daring decision in his mind. Determined to relive the happy days and reunite with his childhood friend, Christopher decided to return to the 100-acre wood for a nostalgic weekend with Pooh. However, he also took the opportunity to invite his new friends from university, Jenny, Stefan, and Sarah, to experience the magical world he loved so much. The idea of exploring nature and meeting the lovable Pooh captivated the imagination of his university colleagues. Excited about the prospect of a unique adventure, they joined Christopher, eager to discover the hidden secrets and charms of that place. However, they had no idea of the terrors that awaited them in the shadows of the haunted forest. The journey into the heart of darkness was imminent, and the encounter with the once adorable bear could unleash a series of horrifying events that would test their courage and threaten their lives. So the weekend arrived, and the group of students set off into the 100-acre wood. But as Christopher stepped into the place, he noticed that something had happened. The atmosphere had changed, the air was denser, and the sounds of nature had been replaced by a disturbing silence, interrupted only by the whispering of the wind among the twisted trees. Jenny then questioned, "Chris, this forest doesn't seem as beautiful as you described. Are you sure we're in the right place?" Christopher replied, "Yes, I'm sure this is the place, but something has changed here. This forest was never so dark and silent. When I used to come here, the sun shone brightly, there wasn't so much fog, birds were singing, and animals roamed around without fear. Let's go to the clearing, we can find Pooh there and discover what happened." Step by step, Christopher and his friends advanced cautiously, observing every movement and shadow with growing apprehension. The path grew narrower and more disorienting, as if the forest was leading them to some dark and unknown place. Suddenly, they spotted a clearing ahead, where Pooh used to spend his sunny days. However, the joy that used to fill the place had vanished. Instead, they encountered a disturbing scene. In the center of the clearing stood Pooh, his appearance now distorted and grotesque. His fur was stained with dark red, as if it were blood. His empty eyes were just black sockets. A twisted smile stretched across his face, revealing sharp and dirty. The evil presence of Pooh intensified, filling the air with suffocating energy. Christopher and his friends realized they were facing something very dangerous. The bear who once brought joy and love was now a being corrupted by evil, thirsting for blood. But Christopher had no idea why Pooh had become like that. So the young man, with a mixture of fear and concern, approached the bear with a trembling voice. "My dear friend Pooh, what happened to you? Where are the others?" The bear responded with a shrill and horrifying voice. "Hello, Christopher, I thought I would never see you here again. Since you left the forest, many things have changed. Over the years, horrors have infiltrated this enchanting place we call home. Human hunters have invaded the forest repeatedly, bringing with them violence and destruction. Many animals were killed, and when not satisfied with the hunt, the men set parts of the forest on fire and left. With that, food scarcity befell us, and survival became a desperate battle. I was led to face the harsh reality of the natural chain, where only the strongest prevail. Hunger consumed me relentlessly, forcing me to take extreme measures. With no options, I ended up feeding on my own friends. This macabre experience showed me how to deal with you humans. Saying that, the now enormous bear advanced towards the group of teenagers. He struck Sarah with his claws, cutting her chest and throwing her against the tree. At the same instant, he turned to the side and grabbed Jenny by the waist, the poor girl paralyzed with fear. Then, with a single bite, the bear devoured the girl's head. Blood sprayed from her headless neck. While the bear made guttural sounds, chewing on the flesh, Christopher and Stefan ran towards Sarah in a desperate attempt to save her. When they reached the tree where she had collided, a shiver ran down their spines. It was too late. The impact had been too strong, leaving her skull open. A feeling of profound sadness engulfed them. With heavy hearts, the two friends looked at each other, sharing the anguish of loss. In a moment of quick decision, they understood they needed to find shelter and safety immediately. Without hesitation, they ran towards the old abandoned house in the clearing. Fear propelled them as they crossed the dense vegetation. With every step, they heard the sounds of Pooh tearing apart their friend Jenny. Gasping for breath, Christopher and Stefan reached the door of the house, which creaked as it opened. They entered the empty place, where the silence was disturbing, and quickly closed the doors and windows. They knew they were far from safe, but now they had shelter. With a quick glance around the room, Christopher came across some carcasses of dead animals, and upon closer inspection, he noticed that one of them had loose skin. It was the skin of a tiger. Tears streamed down the boy's eyes. And the night approached, bringing uncertainty and fear for the duo. It didn't take long for the heavy steps of the bear to draw near, echoing through the oppressive darkness of the forest. And as Stefan looked through the window, he was startled. His eyes widened in terror as he came face to face with the bear illuminated by the faint moonlight. The sharp, blood-stained teeth were a horrifying sight. And a macabre smile stretched across his face, distorting any trace of goodness that once resided there. With impressive strength, Pooh threw his massive body against the window, shattering it into pieces. He desperately tried to squeeze through the opening, but the space was too small for his size. Frustrated, the bear turned around, his eyes fixed on the front door. The hearts of the survivors raced as they noticed Pooh's change in direction. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed in the house, announcing his approach. The door was the last barrier between them and terror. Christopher and Stefan exchanged glances, sharing a mix of determination and fear as they prepared to escape from the bear. Christopher and Stefan decided that the window was their only chance to escape from that house. Christopher, apprehensive, gathered his courage and jumped through the window, feeling the temporary relief of being free from that nightmare. However, cruel fate intervened when Pooh invaded the house and dug his claws into Stefan's back, causing him to scream in pain. Christopher tried to pull his friend with all his might, but the bear showed no mercy and began chewing on the boy's shoulder voraciously. Panic consumed Stefan's body as he struggled to free himself from the bear's deadly grip but gradually lost consciousness. In tears, Christopher witnessed the horror before his eyes. Desperation took hold of him, and in a moment of self-preservation, he let out a desperate cry and fled through the dark forest. Running as fast as he could, Christopher stumbled over twisted branches, tears mixed with sweat on his face. Pushing through the trees in search of an exit, he came across a lone figure. It was Owl, the last survivor of that terrible massacre. Owl, with his wisdom and penetrating eyes, sensed Christopher's despair and understood that he needed to help him escape from that forest. Guiding him with his wisdom and knowledge of the terrain, Owl led Christopher through secret paths and hidden passages that Pooh did not know. Finally, after an exhausting journey, Christopher emerged from the darkness of the forest, breathless and emotionally shattered. Promising himself that he would never return to that sinister place, he thanked Owl with tears in his eyes and asked Owl to flee with him. But the wise Owl looked deep into the boy's eyes and encouraged him to move forward, reminding him that lost innocence could be replaced with courage and inner strength, and that there was still hope for that place. Hey guys! I hope you enjoyed the story. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.